Good morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Yeah, I just want to clarify whether my voice is clear and my video is clear so that I can start now itself.
Yes, sir. You are audible and you are visible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Adul, Jatin, Radhika, all those who are joining today. Very warm good morning to one and all. So, my name is Paul V. Matthew. I am from Kerala. I was a Chief Minister fellow for the first cohort. So I had received a lot of queries from different people from different parts of the country. So I thought instead of giving piece of information, I think better can have a common platform and share my experience with Chief Minister's Urban Leaders Fellowship, how it has been and how was the process of preparation, how was the interview, how was my overall experience with Chief Minister's Urban Leadership Fellowship program. So I will share my experience, how it has been. And if you have any queries, definitely we can have a Q&A at the end of the session. Let me say I'm not an official person to say about Chief Minister's Urban Leadership Fellowship program. But I think I can give a clear information about what has happened and how was my experience with Chief Minister's Urban Leadership Fellowship program. Yeah, so there may be some changes in the current year, but I don't think there was a kind of sea change happened. Yeah, so I think last year 2019, I think by the time of October only the call for notification came up. So I applied. I was working with Kerala state government. I had around 10 years of work experience with Kerala state government at different capacities, project management, team leader. At various capacities, I was doing different projects with Kerala state government. I also did a PhD in management. And while applying for Chief Minister's Urban Leadership Fellowship program, I have completed my PhD and having post PhD around 3 years, 3 years work experience. Many people are actually joining right now. That is why I'm posting because I have to admit people. Sorry for the inconvenience as well. So initially, as usual, we had a call for application. Then I had to submit SOP. So I submitted application, then SOP and one-page biodata or resume. That was simply a one-page resume. And after that, I was shortlisted for the interview. Interview was at Delhi Technical University. And there were around, I think, 5 to 7 panel members. One was, I still know, one was Vice Chairman of DDC, Delhi Dialogue and Development Commission Vice Chairman. And I think one person, either Vice Chancellor or Vice Chancellor of the Delhi Technical University. At that time, Delhi Technical University was the nodal agency. They were leading the whole process. I don't know whether you know the story of CMULF. I think 4 years back, Delhi government has initiated the proceedings of Chief Minister's Urban Leaders Fellowship program. And they have selected some people and announced results. But unfortunately, Lieutenant Governor didn't approve that. And they have to cancel that process. So that is why LG suggested to have independent nodal agency to recruit people to the fellowship program. So at that time, I was at the Delhi Technical University and I was at the interview board. There were 3 interview boards. I was with the Vice Chancellor and the DDC Vice Chairman's room. I will give my experience because many people had different experience. But I think many of the questions were common, but that vary depends upon panel members. So my first questions to me was introduce about myself. Second question was about what is your motivation behind joining this CMULF program or Chief Minister's Fellowship. So I had a very clear statement of purpose while I was applying to the Chief Minister's Fellowship program. That was very genuine as well as I had the urge to join this program. So first one was I was so much impressed with the Delhi government activities. Also, Aam Aadmi Party was having a lead in the anti-corruption movement. I was wondering, we heard about a lot of anti-corruption movements and a lot of pro people and pro poor governments, but it was a different experience for me to listen about a government which is going without corruption. I was wondering whether it is possible or not, because we can say about anti-corruption, no corruption, smart governance, good governance, but I was so confused whether it is possible, because I have been working with different state governments and I was aware about corruption is a kind of part and parcel of system. So at this time, this government is demanding or claiming that we are running a anti-corruption or smart governance. So that was my interest. At the same time, I had a genuine passion. Means I wanted to become a expert consultant to government so that I can design smart government policies. I can suggest and advise governments. So my personal career goal was towards become a government consultant and providing support to government at various levels. At the same time, I was very passionate to become a politician as well. Means politics is actually the driving force of democracy. So if a good politician comes to the mainstream of democracy and government systems, that can really make change. So I really wanted to and was very curious to know how it is being possible, how to lead a corruption-less or non-corruption or smart governance in the system. So that was the two questions. My interest and motivation was very genuine. Also, I had rich experience in government sector because I was working with 10 years of work experience in government. And they specifically asked how was your relation with bureaucrats, ministers. So I also had a rich experience in working closely with senior bureaucrats, and I was giving answers to the submission of members at the Legislative Assembly. So they were really impressed because I was the real person they were looking for. I was working in government, I had professional experience, I had PhD, and they asked about my publications, my books. Then the last question was really interesting. They asked, you are from Kerala, and how you are going to accommodate to this situation, because you are away from your hometown. So how you are going to handle the situation? So I said I am very comfortable because I am a person who really wants to explore all these places. So it's not a big problem for me. I have been part of different international as well as national initiatives. I am also a part of various pan-Indian organizations. So they were quite interested and convinced. Another question was very tricky and very difficult for me. That question was, do you know Hindi? So I was under utter disappointment. I said, no, I don't know Hindi. So I thought that was the final question and they will be dissatisfied or they will be quite unhappy with my answer. But he said, oh, you don't know Hindi. It's not a problem. Delhi is a place where all the people from different parts of the country are coming. So people speak different languages. Then I said, okay, I know that, but I am confident and prepared to speak English within minimum period of time. And Hindi is the root language of Malayalam as well. So they are in a similar family. So I am confident and assured that I will speak Hindi. So they remain again and again ask, how do you accommodate to this new culture? How you are going to use this language, everything. So anyhow, I confidently given answers to all those questions. The questions was first about how is my motivation. Second, they asked about my experience. Third, about my language and suitability at the Central Secretariat or State Secretariat or at Delhi. So those were the three questions or three areas of questions they asked. So let me say, even if you are reading at the notification also, they were asking these three things. One is education qualification. So they asked about my education, my PhD, my publications, which book, which year, which journal, which publication. They asked all those questions. And they also asked in detail about my experience, which organizations, which government, at what level I worked. Then about my motivation. So I still believe that those are the three areas they are looking at. So I confidently given answers to all those three areas of questions. I similarly also, because we had three board of interviews, almost all the people had similar experience. Some interviews were very short, some interviews were a bit long, and also people were asking about some panel members were also asking about what kind of contribution you can make. For example, one person was in non-renewable energy or renewable energy, one person was in biomedical, one person was in water and sanitation. So they were asking about what kind of contribution you can make to this city proper and development oriented and inclusive. So that was my experience in the interview process. So that was a kind of, I was very happy after the interview, and I said to my wife that okay, I was pretty okay. I will definitely clear the interview because that was a very interesting experience for me. Anyhow, result came. I was in the second rank. Then I joined for the induction program. But my Hindi was really a struggling factor for me. I had to struggle a lot. When I reached in Delhi, I was struggling to find a place. I was struggling to communicate with the people at the outer office. Means when I want to go to this hostel facilities or accommodation facility or auto drivers or shops, I was struggling. I was really worried by identifying the induction places, because when I reached the auto driver, I was trying to convey different things, convey different things, but at my utter disappointment, I couldn't convey that. But at last I joined this induction program. We had a 1 week induction program. So I assigned to Administrative Reforms Department Minister in the initial years. So I was handling doorstep service delivery. That was one of the very premier projects of Delhi government. That was one of the first projects Delhi government has launched. So I attached to Administrative Reforms Department and Revenue Department. My reporting officer was the Revenue Minister. Then at Director level and Secretary level, we had frequent meetings and discussions. So basically, government is aiming at people who can troubleshoot and increase the speed of executives. For example, there was a doorstep delivery of public services program. There are a lot of issues at the ground level, like a lot of vendors, private partners, then even at the government level, secretaries, directors, and we have 10 to 20 staff at field, then different offices like revenue office, transport office, family welfare, children and women, like the different departments. A lot of services were given by the different departments. So we had to identify different troubles at the ground level and to suggest solutions and to act and to update ministers, secretaries, directors. So if you are asking me what was my job role, I had to be a person who is able to handle multiple roles. Multiple roles in the sense I had to travel a lot. Government office will give car, we can go, and we have to go to all the RTO offices, all the revenue offices, all the related departments. So it's a kind of field work, and we have to prepare good policy reports, and monthly or weekly we have to give reports, and monthly we have to give policy recommendation directly to ministers. We had direct reviews with ministers. So I attached to Chief Minister's office. So my bureaucratic level secretary and director was my reporting officer along with the minister. At the same time, to the minister's office, Chief Minister's office, I was directly reporting to the Chief Minister's advisor. So we had different projects. Meanwhile, I transferred to Transport Department to design policies and route rationalization policies at the Transportation Department. After that, COVID came. 2 months we were at the field. We were a part of rapid response team like COVID relief, food relief, so different services, so on and so forth. And there was a Delhi riot. I was at the field for 1 month, giving all the assistance, claims, resolutions. As a team, we were working tirelessly to support the system. So that was my experience inside the Delhi Secretariat. I was at the Delhi Secretariat. I was reporting at the Delhi Secretariat every day. Some people were outside Delhi Secretariat. Some people were working at the CM's residence office. some were working at the Delhi Dialogue and Development Commission officer. But we had around 33 members, and at the very first day, 2 people didn't turn up, and after 2-3 days, 2 people discontinued. And during the entire Chief Minister Fellowship program, I think around 10 people left the program. They joined for postdoc or PhD or some kind of jobs. So while completing the fellowship, I think around 10-15 people were remaining there. So that was my experience with Chief Minister's Fellowship program. We had a mentor. My mentor was one ex-IIM and IIT corporate trainer, leadership coach. We had a frequent interaction. We had a meeting every bi-weekly. We share our experience. He had given me a lot of advices on how to improve our self-effectiveness, professional development, how to interact with people, how to improve my interpersonal skills, so on and so forth. So many people there are a lot of people assigned to Deputy Chief Minister's office. 3 people, including me, was at Chief Minister's office, and 1 person at transport, 2 people at health department, one person at one fellow at labor department, like that. So most of the people were at the Deputy Chief Minister's office, like education and his portfolios. Then with CM office, then the main departments were equally or randomly chosen. So that was my common experience. For me, that was a phenomenal experience. To my career, that was a exponential growth offered, because after completing my fellowship program, I was getting a lot of good opportunities. That was a stepping stone for me, because at salary level or designation level, that was a catapult to me, because they are giving a reasonable salary like 1.25 was the fellowship amount. So that stepping stone really gave me a negotiation skill, because my experience was not that much, because I was working with different bureaucrats and senior level officers. So my experience at that level was almost same. But my professional growth and my way of thinking, because around 5 fellows are from different universities like Oxford, Harvard, then such different universities, Cambridge. So such people in Delhi University, JNU. So we had around 1,000 to 1,100 applications, I think. From that only these 28 people have been selected. So that process was really tough. A lot of people from different parts of the country applied. I think half of the applications are from foreign universities. Not foreign nationals, but from high-end top-class universities. So that was my experience with CMULF fellowship program. So let me reiterate or repeat. One is our commitment or motivation. Second, our experience with government or at social level or community development activities. Then our educational qualifications. So many of our fellow members had vast experience in consulting, project management, and art, extra and co-curricular activities like organizing different events, having experience in art, culture. So it was a very diverse team. And also their selection depends on some kind of criteria. That means, for example, they had an allocation of this much of people to health department, this much of people to renewable energy, this much of people to transportation and traffic solving projects like that. So I think there was a kind of allocation happened in the initial days. Maybe I have no idea about the real equation happened in the CMULF selection program. But in the first cohort, that was absolute fair, because I know that almost all the candidates were selected in a very fair manner. There was no external intervention. There was no like inside or political intervention in the selection process. That was my experience, because many people are sharing that this process of selection was really transparent, fair, and ideal. And all the team members were really interesting and really productive and contributing. So my take is that if you have the passion to give contributions, then absolutely we have a lot of chances. We can initiate a lot of things. But if you are silent, then no one will take care of. we will be abandoned. But if we have the initiative and have the courage to do a lot of things, we have the courage to speak and provide corrective measures, providing policy suggestions. We have a lot of opportunities there. And also, there was a performance appraisal at the first 3 months and at the first year as well, because that was the first cohort. So in the initial 3 months, I think everyone was, because that selection procedure or appraisal was not that much rigor. But in the first year, that appraisal procedure was a bit rigor, and they terminated 3-4 people. So within the 1 year, they terminated 3 people. So after the CML fellowship, they started DARC, Delhi Assembly Research Council fellowship, like that. So in that, they terminated around 6 people, because they have selected around 120 people in the first DARC fellowship. They terminated around 6 people in the first three years. Then after the 6 months, I think they terminated more people. So that termination and reporting, then our initiatives, all the things were very strong, very rigor, very fair. We had a lot of training programs, a lot of induction program, and if we are interested and capable to utilize those opportunities, that is seamless, I should say. So I wish all the best to the participants. I think I have covered whatever I was trying to convey to all the people. But if you have any queries or questions, most probably I think I can give you pinpoint answers.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, Vivek.
Yeah, hello, sir. Can you just elaborate about associate fellows also? I mean, can you give just brief idea about?
Great.
Please.
Actually, there are not difference between fellow and associate fellow. Only difference is their salary, because 1.251 75,000. That was the difference exactly. Reporting structure also, because some serious standalone projects they are assigning to fellows. And associate fellows are also working with some fellows, because I think this time around 15 fellows and 7 associate fellows, I think that was a notification. So job wise and task wise, there is no much difference between fellows and associate fellows. Only salary is the difference. And but normally fellows are given because we had kind of a lot of contingency exercises or immediate programs. For example, COVID relief activity or Delhi riot relief activity. We were the immediate point of contact. They immediately called all the fellows and asked them to act immediately. Then only they called associate fellows. So from my experience, the salary is the only difference. Task, duty, responsibility, exposure, everything is same to both fellows and associate fellows. And also selection, I think experience and qualification all have a kind of means a bit light for associate fellows. If you have 1 year experience, I think fellows can be cleared if you have terrible experience. But for fellows, associate fellows, so I think 1 year experience, but for fellows, they're asking for 3 years or more years of experience. So that is the difference I have seen in the fellowship program. Task-wise, responsibility-wise, there is no difference, but like salary and immediate task, they will give preference for fellows.
Are they also working in woman empowerment or livelihoods or like that?
Yeah. People are working in different departments, but right now I don't know which all field they are looking for. But I think portfolios will be same, because almost all the fellows except 2-3 people are now no more in the fellowship program or in the secretary. So they really need people at the same positions. People are at women and child welfare, the labor, transport, education. More people were in education sector. So I think education was very common. A lot of people are coming up with experience in education. Then definitely skill development, there are people required. Then people having distinctive experience in like water, sanitation, renewable energy, then e-vehicle policy. Definitely they have a greater advantage, because comparing to the competitive pool, they will get probably lesser competition, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay, one question I have. I just wanted to understand that, okay, you have a lot of experience before even joining the treatment of this fellowship. And I get a sense that most of the people you're talking about have some sense of experience. So would it be advisable for people who do not have much professional experience, even after their postgraduate, to apply for the position of associate fellow? Like I have 1 year experience of working as a research associate in public health field. So would it be advisable or worth it to apply for this position?
Yeah, I think if I am clear, you were asking about you have limited years of experience, like 1 or less than 1 year of experience, and you are asking me whether it is advisable to pursue a fellowship program, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we had few people having less experience, like
Yes, yes.
1 year experience. Um, so I always say if you are in a position where you are working or you are passionate to be a part of a government systems, you are most welcome. But that varies because my experience with CMULF was uh, it's a mixed response. Many people have discontinued because government system will function as such. We have to give oil and we have to act because a lot of disappointments will come. Because even in Delhi government, you know that political system is going and bureaucracy is going in another direction. So it is not that much easy. We can suggest a lot of policies, but we cannot sure that it will happen or not. We can actually think about a lot of things, but we are not clear about whether it will happen or not. And drug typism is there, corruption is also there. So system is, I was in Kerala because in Kerala I think corruption and things are slightly less. So system wise there was no big difference between Kerala and Delhi government. That depends upon persons. We will get a strong network. Some people were asked about your cohort group, how was them. So we had people from different parts of the country, from different universities. So that cohort was very strong. We had a very fun as well as productive times. So a lot of factors will affect it. What are you looking for? Professional development or networking, or if you want to touch with people at the top brass like bureaucracy or ministers, that depends upon our initiative. But so depends upon your objective or your interest. That will make sense. What we are looking at. If you are simply looking for salary, I say most probably no. But if you're looking for exposure and network, and if you are finding it as a stepping stone, then definitely it will be a good opportunity for us. Because for me that happened. It was that a stepping stone for me. After the fellowship, I had a lot of opportunities in salary wise as well as my designation wise. I had to climb to the upper only. I had to not looking back. So that was my experience. So I cannot suggest whether it will be suitable or not. That depends upon your drive, motivation, interest, and everything.
Just one more thing adding on to it. Are they looking for people or are they okay with people who do not have much experience? Or are they also looking for people who come with the specified years of experience? I know the eligibility criteria says that associate fellows just need to have a postgraduate degree, but what are they exactly looking for? It's something I wanted to know.
I think if you don't have no experience, I think it will be difficult. But from my experience, almost all people have at least 1 year experience. Even fellows also have a bit more experience. So without experience, it will be difficult. But as I mentioned, their first priorities are motivation. Why you are going for a fellowship program? That was the first thing. And if you have incredible or rich research experience, like a lot of publications, ABDC journals, or you have published good books or something like that, and the organization means the institute you have, for example, if you are from some Indian Institute of Technology or Indian Institute of Management, or if you are a chartered accountant or a MD, or some from some reputed institution with high ranking, yeah, I think experience will not be a big factor for consideration. So, but minimum experience with other factors that will definitely count. So I'm not sure about experience, means education qualification experience will matter, but from that cohort, I analyze that if you are from a very premier institute and with less experience, you have high chance, definitely.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, Joshija.
I myself is Joshija. So my doubt is, Actually, I have been doing my PhD, but in the completion stage of submission, and I have only a teaching experience of 8 years, and working as and also in training also. So my question is whether there is any chance for teachers to be in this particular area, or whether we need some governmental experience as a mainstream experience.
No, government experience is not mandatory because I was the only person who worked in government, and there was one person who was a consultant in government services. She was working in EY as a consultant to government. All other people were in different areas, like worked in different NGOs, a lot of Teach for India fellows. Many people worked in different Gandhi fellowship and such fellowships. And they worked in social sector or some kind of professional consultancy level, consulting to government. But the experience with government or government service is not mandatory. And teachers also have chance because one of my close friends, he was working in Delhi University as assistant professor. He was a journalist and media communication teacher. But I think he was selected because of his experience in media and communication, because media and communication is actually a part of government communication. So that was most probably the reason behind selecting him as the fellow. So teaching is not a constraint, but just think about at what level you can contribute to government policies or programs or improving the speed, effectiveness of the governance. And do you have any such experience or any such, and for example, Skill University government is considering it as a pioneer initiative. So think about whether you have an experience in skilling or training or, for example, education policies. Some people were in education sector, they work with NCRT, CBSE. So this teacher, why I'm mentioning about, he worked with CBSE as well as curriculum analyst, something like that. So I don't say that teachers cannot apply, but I feel like edge will not be that much sharper for a teacher. But if you have extra co-curricular activities such experience, consulting experience or training experience or strong knowledge about QP, then NSDC, vocational trainings and all the things, probably that would be a good advantage.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the answer. Thank you.
Dr. Paul, hi, Atul here.
Atul.
I have a couple of doubts. Question number one, it's CM Urban Leaders Fellowship Program. Yeah. So how important is the urban word in this whole program? Is it like specific to urban problems, or do we have a mix of urban and we have the vicinity? I've been in Delhi. I've been working in Delhi for 1.5 years almost. So I've been through the village areas which are surrounding by Delhi. So do we get to work in that dimensions also? That's one. It is respect to my qualification that I did my MTech in rural development. So that's one thing that I would like to know. And apart from that, the second thing is, are we associated with the political executive or the bureaucratic executive, like on a larger scale? Where do we kind of find ourselves more?
Yeah. So let me give answer about the first question. You were asking about our experience at urban scenario would be a added advantage. Frankly, I was from a rural background. I had an experience in rural urban development or urban planning. So they had a few people. They were graduated in urban planning from School of Planning Delhi and from Erasmus University and from foreign universities. So even though it is calling as Urban Leaders Fellowship Program, they were not asking or looking for a person from urban background or from urban planning. Anyhow, they will select some people, those who are having expertise in urban planning, but not necessary. So that is not an issue if you are rural development, because a lot of like Delhi is like that there in Delhi. So it looks like issues are almost same at the rural level. So that is not a concern, that is not a constraint. It is not necessary to have a experience in urban development or urban planning. But those who are having urban planning, they will select to the urban planning departments and all. But that is not a disadvantage, or that is not an advantage most probably. Second thing is, you are asking about political as well as bureaucratic experience. So for me, I work with Revenue and Transport Minister. I was reporting to him at one level. At the same level, I was reporting to Secretary and Director at the bureaucracy level. So there will be a dual reporting. because at implementation level we will be coordinating with our director and secretary, but at policy level and weekly updates or monthly updates we are reporting to the chief minister's office as well as to the respective minister. So for me it was a dual reporting structure, but there are opportunities if you want to be more politically leaned, or if you want to work closely with the minister and the political parties, yeah, you can be political. But if you want to be more working with the bureaucrats or secretary level, yeah, you have the freedom and flexibility. So for me, it was almost equal. I worked both well with the minister as well as with secretary and director.
Thank you, sir. Just one more final doubt from my side. As you were a fellow, not an associate fellow, you were a fellow, you had a PhD, and you had a rich experience behind you. But for people like me, I have only 1.5 years of experience behind me, and I've been through a career break for so far. Post this associate fellowship, after 2 years, what all opportunities would open up, be it in the academic or in the professional scales?
So, I mean, you're asking about the post-fellowship opportunities. I didn't get that.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Definitely, because my experience was phenomenal at my professional development as well as my professional development, in the sense salary is also a matter, experience is a matter, skill enhancement is a matter. For me, I vastly expanded my network because I was in Delhi, so I had good contacts with both central secretariat as well as with state secretariats. I had good contacts with various NGOs, various political as well as non-political figures, and at my cohort, that is very strong and having good network across the world. So my team was so strong, and also after because I was not I didn't complete the fellowship. I discontinued in between. So I got a good opportunity and a good cause. I worked with one organization. So fellowship was really a stepping stone for me, both at my professional as well as financial aspect. There is no question in that. Network helped my thought, because many people are from North India, or you have traveled and worked with different places. But Delhi is a place where all the people are coming from different parts of the state. So I think we had people from all the states. Out of 28, 8 people from Kerala, away from Kerala. Other people were from different parts of the country. So that knowing the culture, knowing the attitude, getting connected to the whole nation like that was phenomenal. So I think experience wise, then professional development wise, everything was really interesting for me. So if you're looking for professional growth, yeah, I say yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Paul, I have a question. Could you please tell us more, how could we go about the policy question that is asked in the application form?
Can you give me an idea about what was the specific question you were mentioning about?
The question in the application form asks that what is the most pressing development issue in Delhi which is affecting the people of Delhi, and how would you please analyze it and give suggestions to the Chief Minister in 300 words?
Yeah. So if you're asking me, there are a lot of issues at Delhi, maybe traffic.
So yes, but I mean, how should we go about it? How should we structure our answer? What all should we include and all?
Yeah, that should be anyhow problem solving and strategic level answer should be given. They are looking for, there is a very fundamental thing like that, whether you are a problem identifier or a problem solver. They will definitely look at if you are able to give concrete problem solving stuff, that will be looking at. For example, I was working with the doorstep service delivery program. We had to extend that program to different services. When I joined, there were only 15 services. When I completed my fellowship, it extended to 100 programs. And I was one of the members nominated for the best national citizen-centric policy by the central government. We have shortlisted the first 10 best policies in India. So, and also after the doorstep service delivery, that was in all the application, but service-oriented products, but that extended to food supplies and all. So, they will be looking at how effective you are providing solutions rather than identifying problems. For example, if you are saying about traffic is a big issue or pollution is a big issue, they will be looking at what kind of crystal clear answers and policy suggestions you are able to give. Because I was giving policy suggestions every 3 months, as a document. They were asking us to identify a particular issue or a particular department or particular service and prepare a policy document stating that this is the status of the policy right now. This is the development happened so far. These are the problems we have to address, and these are the suggestions I am giving you to initiate at the immediate or long run. So it is diagnostics or prescriptive or solution oriented policies they are looking at. Am I clear once? Yeah, okay.
Okay, just a question. When you're saying you'll be looking for problems,
Dimple, your voice is not clear to me. Can you say a bit louder?
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, when you say that they're looking for problem-solving skills, how do they assess it? Do they ask you to narrate instances from your life where you had a problem-solving approach, or do they give you a question or say a problem and then they ask you to solve it in a certain manner?
Yeah.
Or they assess it that way?
I got it. They haven't asked any direct question to me, but the interview panel asked such questions as once mentioned like some issues you are facing at the Delhi and what are your suggestions. Though so they had such questions, they introduced some issue which is recurring or which is severe in Delhi and asked the interviewee to give suggestion or answers to that particular problem. For example, one person who is having expertise in water and sanitation, they ask about Yamuna is fully polluted. So what is your suggestion or what are the policy recommendations from your side to improve that? So there were such questions. One person from transport, he is IIT Delhi, graduated from IIT Delhi. So question was about route rationalization. A lot of vehicles are actually moving haphazard, timing is not proper, and route rationalization was not happening. What is the suggestion to make it happen? So they will be asking some questions to understand your problem solving skill, how you approach, whether you are looking at the problem or you are looking at the answers. So there is a disclaimer because I don't know who will be your interview panel members. I don't know how they are evaluating, but generally I felt that they will ask questions depends upon your experience. But if you are less experienced, definitely they will ask about problem solving analytical questions. And if you are, because I had kind of 10 years of experience, so I think that was the reason they are asking about. They didn't ask me about anything such difficult questions. We had a kind of very friendly chat and conversation. But there are many people, they asked about very real life questions, real life examples, and asked them to give solutions to those questions. Dimple, am I clear?
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
So, any more questions?
Okay, I'll take this opportunity to ask one last question.
Yeah, please.
I wanted to understand, given there are two questions in the application, because the first procedure is to pass the application and then only you get to the interview stage. So I just wanted to understand at this stage that, you have just 300 words for both the questions. I can somewhere write about the idea of what problem Delhi is facing and how to recommend, like maybe say 2 recommendations might also make sense because it's just 300 words. But how do I describe my motivation in 300 words? What would matter to them at this stage?
Yeah, that is actually a tricky question because I also apply to various fellowships, various programs, because at least one SOP per month like that I was and I am doing right now as well. There are some organizations like, for example, Teach for India Fellowship or Jagriti Yatra program. They have a machine-driven selection procedures. For example, they will be looking at some keywords. The system will automatically screen the SOPs and select some sort of questions. Because this actually, I think this is being happened manually. That I cannot say because that depends upon your communication skills. Well, I had a strong passion in my mind, so I included some personal stories that was very brief as well as crisp, concise, and I could really convey the real passion, because the first question was about that, means what is your motivation to join this fellowship. I had two clear answers. One is I want to understand the Delhi government non-corruption model, and I want to be a consultant in government, and I also want to really try in politics at my long run by understanding all these good governance practice of Delhi government. So that was the same answer I written in the SOP for this particular question for your motivation. So because there are a lot of people, I know that they consulted a lot of people, many experts, and written their SOP, but they couldn't clear. So that is a kind of luck plus your efficiency in communication, the way of communicating your passion in writing, like that. So try to include more verbs, try to include more passionate verbs, means verb in action verbs, then try to convey some verbs which are conveying your passion. Then if you can possibly quantify your outcomes or experiences, for example, you can simply that I am a social change management expert, but if you can cite some good example by quantifying your personal experience by making some outcome or impact at scale and quantity. So a lot of guidelines are available online. You can read about how to write an SOP. Lot of manuals are available. Lot of tips are available. So I suggest you to read those things and write well. And there are a kind of luck, means 20% luck, remaining 80%, yeah, definitely with you only. So try to write in that manner. I don't know, because it's a communication question. I don't know how to answer clearly through a word-to-word communication. So from my experience, that was because I cleared a lot of SOP, because many SOPs I have written was qualified. Where I conveyed my passion, I used action verbs, I used rhetoric devices, and I try to quantify my changes and so on and so forth. So that was my experience, but better you can consult with many people and you can research online. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. If you have, anyhow, I have one more session on this Wednesday. So with one other agency. So I think.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, Sahil, please.
Yeah, sir. My question is that I am from like a background of media and professional. So yeah, media and entertainment. So basically, I had some, some research and some policies regarding renewable energy. I have been studying it, but I don't have any professional background and experience in the renewable energy. So is it like possible to, apply regarding the same for my suggesting regarding renewable energy to the government?
Yeah, we had, because I think you have experience in communication, then you talked about renewable energy as well. So we had two fellows in both media as well as in renewable energy. Both the persons had experience in academy as well as at industry level. But I don't know whether you need it. I think they haven't asked about any policy suggestion at initial level. So I think, I don't know, because I am not very clear about your question, whether you are asking about to give policy suggestion before applying the job.
The thing is that, my question is that my background is different from what I am suggesting to the government. My academic background is different from what I am suggesting to the government. That is what I am saying. But I have done the study regarding the same, regarding the renewable energy and the same. So I have some studies and some policies which I could suggest to the government, but I don't have a relevant background policy.
So you are asking about the SOP stage or interview stage?
Sorry, sir?
You are asking for the SOP or application process stage or at the stage of interview?
Sir, at the stage of interview.
Yeah,
at this stage of SOP.
Interview, because normally in interviews, we will try to direct the interview board to the potential area where we are at. For example, if you are confident and expertise in mass communication or media, you have to try and invite their attention to that area. But if they are looking at your CV and asking a question about renewable energy, then you have to give answers. So I think that it's a hypothetical question. That depends upon the question. If they're asking about renewable energy, you have to give answers, but it is optional, because sometimes they will ask about what is a policy recommendation towards the government based on experience. At that time, you can select a most appropriate topic and give answers. I think all these questions are generally.
And regarding the SOPs, like if I am filling the form and like in the initial process, if they find like my experience is like very different to what I am suggesting, so is it like possible? I mean, should I file my application in that way or not? I mean, I'm really confused about that.
Anyhow, they are looking for persons in communication as well as in renewable energy. But if you have field experience in an industry experience in renewable energy, I recommend you to write on that part. But means media and mass communication, they have a great in-house team. That is the first thing. Second thing is, I think a lot of people are available, experts available in media and communication. But in renewable energy, I think they require people and having relevant experience and know-how in the technologies. So my personal suggestion is better you be conversant in renewable energy. But I think you can have a chat with me later. I can connect to someone working in renewable energy at Delhi government. Yeah, I think probably we can talk to them, because I am not expert in both the areas, but that is my general observation.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
I'll connect after this call.
Okay, please. Okay, thank you very much. All the very best for all the aspiring CMULF fellows. I hope that a lot of you will clear the fellowship program and gain a lot of rich experience with the fellowship. Thank you once again. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.